Hello, everybody who watch live or replay. Let me introduce myself to you all again. My name is FL, and today we are going to learn Roblox Studio again. I said learning, not building. Yeah, not building a game or something like that. I'm talking about learning. And from learning, I will making. Yeah, so we are from learning first. Whatever it is. Okay. Welcome everybody who watch live or replay. Let me see how much people that watch me. Maybe zero, I know, but at least I don't know. Just let's see how much. I don't know. Just let's see how much. Okay, welcome. What's live or replay? This is day 5. Still day 5 of me learning. This studio, Roblox Studio. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Yeah. So yeah, I think I need to remind my ChatGPT again about the project. Okay. I want you to make me a project. A couple project for me to learn Roblox Studio. Make it from beginner to hard. Okay, let's make this prom again for a second time. Cepet. Coin collector OB. Yeah, I already did this. Coin rush. Gacha simulator. Tycoon game was kind of cool though. Tower defense and then survival arena, a simulator clone. Okay, this is the list of the things that I want to make in here, and yeah, I hope it will be cool. I guess let's see everybody. Oop, yeah, coin collector check, we make that. OB check, coin rush check, sport arena. Okay, what things I should do to make a short arena? Let me think with my entire base plate in here. As you can see, this is so yellow. I saw green. Oh my god. The machine. Okay, let's start. Let's start from the zone that we want to make in here and the spawn point. Spawn. What should I say in here? Where should I start? Let me start with the spawn location. How to make spawn location? zone. Spawn location in roblox.
Banyak alasan buat lampaui batasan bareng Valorant. Buat si Abe yang cuma punya satu teman komplek ini, di Valorant dia punya ratusan. Roblox has over 380. The first type is the basic spawn point. So open up your plate, then a spawn block will appear, and you can move it wherever you see it and change the location. So now it's game will create it. And turn on or off auto assignable. If you want to make a script to assign the teams a different way, I will leave it set on true. Then we will make another team object and repeat the steps. Rename this to whatever you want the second team to be. I'll make this one features, and I'll make the color blue. And by the way, you can make as many teams as you like. Now that we have the team set up, we will have to make the spawn points for each of the teams. So we will insert an object in the workspace and create a spawn location. We will then set this one to the first team count and put auto spawn point. But if you want to build an obby with checkpoints that will change the player spawn point, well then now we have to move on to the third type, which is the chain mountain group. We get this create a spawn for script service. Change the player spawn point to that checkpoint. So you can pause the video and copy the code right here. Once you are done with that, rename it on. Okay, and now we step on the second checkpoint. Word. So if we respawn right now, we will spawn at the first checkpoint. And if we step on the second checkpoint and then respawn, we will spawn at the second checkpoint. And yeah, that's about it. I hope this video provided some sort of solution to the problem.
Okay, let's start with a part, of course. And we're gonna make it like a big part. How we could make a sword here. If you want to make a sword and you put it in your hand, so you need some, wait a minute, okay? Some back action. Back action, of course. So if you pull up the parts, it will spawn. So it needs some so I gotta start this first and making up the Gabon backpack. I forgot how to make the bro dev tools.
Say local static equal with a plus to ini adalah kamu, bukan ini adalah kamu, dan kamu ingin menaklukkan dunia Albi. Click on it. That the scale property basically just sets the size of the tool itself, specifically the handle. If we just change this to, let's say, 1.5, then it increases the scale of the tool. So down here, let's click on it. We should
create a handle so that we can actually show that the player is holding something when. Now let's create a handle so that we can actually, if we go and then go down here to the properties, make sure that anchored is set to false to be stuck in that. We're going to our tool here, and now see that tool is now
Sticker. Foto kita. Okay, we make candle here. We make the models first of these tools. It calls something like this. Okay, this is the block. It called a bamboo. A bamboo. No, a wood. Okay, that a wood, and we put it in the tool. Yes, and then we hit play. We should see the tool in here. What?
equip, which we want to display on the player's hand whenever the tool is equipped. Let's equip our tool part. We will drag it into our tool here inside of our starter pack. And basically what we're doing is we're telling it to set sure that anchored is set to false so that it's turned off. The reason for this is because we don't want the part to be stuck in place whenever the game is running. We want it to be affected by gravity. And the second thing we have to do is rename this part to a very specific name. We're going to click on this, and then we're going to name it handle with a capital H. And now what we'll do is we'll take this part, we will drag it into a
Specific name? Okay. Look at that. Huh. Okay, this is the tool action in here. We just gotta make some script in here. Script action.
that like very so that when we don't have it, that there sets the size of the tool itself, specifically the handle. If we just change this to, let's change it to 2, we think the player can repeat it inside of the works up. It goes back into my character. Now, if I quickly go to the tool and uncheck can be dropped, and make sure we're not selecting tool inside of the workspace, so like down here, if we're going to, I made a script, let's first at tool dot equipped, and we're going to say : connect function. We're going to hit enter. This did our first thing, but tool and on triggers
Unquip.
act tool and become So we'll say 出钱, and then we will say print tool has been.
Oh, it's easy though, I guess. Hmm. Get parents. What? Oh my god, I forgot, bruh. Shit. Humanoid health equals negative equals 10. Ah, myself. And then it will print out let's see. Ah, what the fuck?
D, and then now let's try activating. So I'm on PC, so the button to activate it is going to be the left mouse button. So if I hold my left mouse button, we can see that it printed out saying the tool.
Why it's not working?
You can activate Shin.
Let's make it like no. Mm.
And then
So we need a handle though. Here we call it parts. Button that you gotta pick it. When you pick it,
we will say, test it, try active. So if activation tool has been deactivated, if I just click, whenever 2 more.
My work is easy because I use
fuck you,
I
bruh.
just want to keep track of all my tasks. I start my brain dumping everything I know.
Properties here in the behavior category called manual activation only and requires handle. So requires handle is basically like, okay, we have a tool, but we don't need it to have a handle when we want to use this tool. So if we right click our tool and then duplicate it, and we open up this one, let's also rename this to tool 2 so that we don't get confused with it. Let's actually delete this handle. So now we have a tool that doesn't have a handle, meaning when our player equips this tool, nothing will show as like a physical object when the player equips the tool, but we can still activate it and run the script without having an actual handle. So we can actually disable this, and if we go into the game, we should still be able to activate it. So I believe it's going to be our second tool. As you can see, our player does not hold out his hand to equip something because we deleted the handle. But we can still see that the script is still working just fine without the handle. So that's like one useful thing to know about for that. And then the other property is manual activation only. So if we activate this, like if we set it's true, that means that whenever we equip the tool, we cannot activate it automatically when our player decides to do it by like left mouse clicking or right triggering or tapping on the screen. We can only have activation happen through script. So I'll show you an example of how this would actually work. So if we go to our tool 2 and then click on the script, let's delete this one so that it's a little easier to read. Let's make it so that as soon as we equip the tool, let's activate the activated event here. So we're going to drop a line here from equipped, and we're going to say tool, and since this is a function, we're going to say : activate. So this basically artificially simulates what would happen if the player clicks and activates the tool, because we don't want it to happen automatically. This is going to happen manually. So as soon as we equip the tool, it's going to automatically activate it without the player actually doing it, because now the player cannot activate it on their own. So if we equip our second tool, we can see that the tool's been equipped and the activated event has also been triggered, because as soon as we equipped our tool, it set off the activated event on its own. And if I try to activate the tool, it's not going to work. Instead, all it's going to do is trigger the deactivated one, because that property inside of our tool was specifically designed for activation, not deactivation. There's actually one final thing I forgot to mention, and that is starter gear. Essentially, starter gear is basically the starter pack, but if it was specific to an individual player. So some players could spawn in every time they reset their character with a certain set of tools that is only specific to that player. Or maybe if someone is in a specific team, they will spawn into the game with specific tools that other teams or other players cannot start. And let me show you how this is done really quickly. So if I select my tool on the starter pack and I right click and duplicate it, let's call this tool 2, and I'm actually going to get rid of the texture ID so that we can see the difference between tool 1 and tool 2. I'm going to drag this into replicated storage. And now let's play the game. So now I'm in the game. As you can see, I've opened up my players, so that's starter gear here. And if I open up replicated storage, my tool should be here as well. Here's something that's really important to know about though. Inside of the test ribbon, I'm going to click on the current window that we're in. I'm going to click it so that we can go to the server instead. If I open up the players, my player with its starter gear, and I go to replicated storage with tool 2, I'm going to drag this into starter gear. So now, for the first time, I join into the game with my one and only tool right here that's in my backpack. But if I actually reset my character, then something really interesting will happen. So once I reset my character, I'm now going to have 2 tools down here as a starter rather than 1, because tool 2 was very specifically put inside of my player's starter gear. So now whenever I reset my character, I'm not only going to start off with tool 1, but also tool 2. And if I go back into the server and quickly delete starter gear, I go back into my own client and I reset my character, then I should no longer be able to spawn in with my second tool alongside my first one. So that is another very interesting thing to know about. It's very useful if you want specific players to have specific tools or people in specific teams to have specific tools. And of course, if you want to do this through scripts, then all you have to do is just set the parent of the tool not only to their backpack, but also to their starter gear. So the next time the player resets their character, they're going to have their new tool. Okay, now let's put it all together. And in this last section of the video, I'm actually going to make this a challenge.
Okay, challenge.
That you can try if you want, or you can follow what I did. There's going to be a few requirements. The 5 requirements that I have for you are, first, play a sound when the tool is equipped. And if you don't know how to play a sound, then that's okay. This step doesn't really matter all too much. The next requirement is to create a boolean to check if the player is holding down activation and change it appropriately. The third requirement is use tool scale to with an argument of whatever number's in there to upscale and downscale the tool when clicking. So this is a special function to use and then finally, the last requirement is you can pause the video to try this out on your own first and then come back here. But we're still going to go through this together. It's not to insert the tool holder not inside of the images section. But if we click this drop down, we can actually see that has provided down, just be easier. Change it to propane. Players hold requirement says to use tool scale 2 to drop a line, then only when there is currently is brick color. 3 color keeping math dot red, the same thing for green and math every single time. And then time. I have to do this. The last thing we need to do is increment the player's clicks by 1 whenever the player actually does by hard click. Go into treat it out of here. But for you, it's probably a different by saying, I think this is basically our entire script. So let's go into the game. We can actually see that the scale of the tool changed and picked if we increment the click force. So if we do it again, it's just going to do the same thing. It'll keep picking a random color for this part. It goes back to normal and our clicks increment. So we could just keep doing this for as many times as we want. It's like kind of stupid.
It is stupid. Procedural generated room. Response humanoid arena UI. And more coding like this.
Y'all are pushing test up here and then, creating a server with, 2 kind of fake players, right? Just equal, for sure, one time. And then I'm going to set the cooldown variable back to false because the duration has finished and the player is not able to attack once again. Now, say for like if you want the sword slot, and then moving on to the second one, we have, I believe, we'll go with parry now. We'll call this sword parry animation. Then paste this over. So let's first set up the local. We can do SS damage.
My god, I need to learn this though.
1 second. And then here we put animation chart stop so that the player, just do that blocking. And then I'm going to set the what's it called? I'm going to set the source status variable back to idle because idle means they're not. So as you guys can see, you parry the attack, the animation played, and like a type of clanking sound like metal or stuff. But as you guys can see, he took no damage. So yeah. Once you need comparing system, very simple. Then we then just press click up and then go back. Then just go back to here. Then yeah, just go to yeah. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you did, leave a like, subscribe, thank you guys for all the love support. Great animation block. 6, then we get to go into your starter pack, and then you can delete the sword script, delete the mouse icon, and then you can delete all of these sound effects, and then just leave the mesh and everything. And that's all. And that's all you gotta do for the sword. The sword is ready to go. Now we're going to get into the actual scripting. So first, we're going to insert a local script into the classic sword. You guys can name it sword local, and then you guys can insert a mode event and replicate a storage, and you can name it sword event, and then we are ready to get into the local side of the script. Okay, so we can go hello world. First things first, of course, you're going to make a variable for the mode event. So let's do local sword event is equal to game replicate a sword. You can block who you are players local player. Alright, then cooldown is equal to false. Let's keep information number 1 parry in the top. So /1 is equal to true by default. Alright, just cooldown, pretty much anyone not play, it won't play an animation. And then if it's not a cooldown, we're going to say cooldown is set to true. And then we're going to say if /1, then /1 is equal to false, /2 is equal to true. And then we're going to fire the mode event, so sword event, fire server, and we're going to say /1. And then we can just copy and paste this. So selected, Control C, enter and they're opposite. Oh, just you guys can what do you want? You can script the function setup and close this group. Then make sure you have a keyboard. I'm sorry, not keyboard. That mouse button too, because now this is for blocking, so I'm using mouse button too.
Hmm.
That mouse button too. And cooldown is equal to false, making sure that we're not on cooldown and whatnot. And player dot character first child script dot player. It's very important that you do script dot player names because by doing this, it's the connection that they get what it means. So script, whatever you want, like the blocking, you get made. I would recommend doing like that stuff. So if you're interested in that, just let me know in the comments and I'll show you an example. But yeah.
Okay. For that, I need to learn remote even. What is that? It doesn't. What the fuck you mean by this?
The audio, kemanapun kamu pergi atau apapun yang kamu lakukan, tungganganmu akan selalu menemani perjalananmu. Mungkin kamu akan
As you can see, this is a blank new project, and it's actually done. And you can rename it whatever you want, but I'll just keep mine remote event and what is true. But a client is what every individual player sees. For example, if I had a button right here and I were to press it, for me, I would see a big menu pop up on the screen. But other players wouldn't see a menu pop up on the screen because this menu is client side and only I can see it. So for example, if I were to add a part and make it, let's say red, for example, if I open up a local script and try changing the color, so for example, workspace with child part, and let's just make it blue, for example, right? Here's what will happen. It goes from red to blue. So we see it as blue, but here's the thing. Every other player will still see this as red because right now we're on the client. If we switch to the server, the brick is still red. This is incredibly important because I feel like half of my mistakes as a developer were because I didn't understand the difference between client and server. So learning how to communicate information using remote events will be really beneficial. So here's what I'll do. I will delete the script that changed the color. So all I want you to have is a red part and a remote event in replicated storage. Then let's go to server script service and create a new script. You can name it whatever you want. I'll just call my event script, you know. Keep the script empty for now. Go to starter GUI, screen GUI, and a text or image button, up to you. So I'll move this button here, and inside of the button, I will add a local script. So let's quickly overview what's happening. We have a red, so the part is red for everyone. This is true on the server. We have a remote event, we have an empty server script, and we have a button with a local script inside of it. The goal here is that whenever we press the button, we want this local script to fire a message to the remote event, which will then fire a message to the server script telling it to change the color from red to blue. So let's actually start in the local script. The very first thing we want to do is check.
Make the script from local to remote and tell the server to change the color. Okay.
When this button is activated, and we can do that by saying script.parent. So parent is what's above, but meaning the button. What's above the script? It's the button. Activated, and then we connect a new function, like so. And so now whenever the button is pressed, any code we put here will be activated. So we could try changing the color from red to blue right now, but like I said, only the player who presses the button will see the color change. Everyone else won't. Now, if that's something you want, of course, go ahead. But you likely want everyone to see the change. So what we want is to actually pass the message to the server. And we can do this by calling the remote event. So let's do this. Game.replicated storage, because replicated storage, remote event. And this is where you do semicolon, fire server. So what this line does is it pings the remote event. Now, of course, this will not do anything as of now. So now I'm running the game, and whenever I press the button, it pings the remote event. However, of course, because we didn't write anything in the server script, nothing's happening. So now open up the server script, and we have to understand, okay, what are we looking for? So we don't want to do anything until the button has been pressed, as in, until the remote event has been called. So what we can do is game.replicated storage, again, same thing, .remote event. This time, we do a dot, not a semicolon, on server event. We also connect that to a function, and in these brackets, so last time I left them empty, but here we can put player. You can actually name this whatever you'd like. This will just be the variable of the player who pressed the button. Now, of course, for this example, we don't care who pressed the button. All we want is just for the color change to occur. However, just for testing purposes, we could just print out player.name. So, okay, now that the button has been pressed locally, it shoots a message here, shoots a message to the server. We know that the button has been pressed, and we know that we want to change the color. So this is where we do workspace.part, there we go, .color equals color 3. So now let's see what actually happens. Okay, so as you can see, the brick is red. If I switch to server, the brick is also still red. Very good. Now, if I press the button, the brick is blue, and it prints my name out. And if I go to server, the brick is blue. It's not red anymore. So let's just do a quick overview to nail the concept. We've created a button that, when activated, fires a remote event. And then this server script catches the remote event. And it says, okay, so when this remote event is activated, do this. On the server this time, not on the client. And like I said before, remote events don't have to just go from local scripts to server scripts. They can do vice versa. So for example, I could just say right now, game.replicated storage remote event fire.
Wait a minute, okay. When should I use remote event from server to client or client to server? When if client do something, client to server, client did something, server need to know. Thus server to client, server know something, specific player need to see. Okay, server choose dragon, tell the player play hatch animation. Okay, let's start. Let's start the scripting then. So what if we make a big giant wall in here, and I want to make this wall be a transparency when you hit the button. What's button we talk about? We talk about a starter GUI button, screen GUI, text button. We put it in here, and we're gonna say this is us. What? Where is it? Where is it? I'm gonna say this is a click, whatever, and yeah, this is the click button, and we go to the script.parents script local script. This is the local script one, of course, and then we make the wait people local script, and then we run a remote event in here. Where's the remote event? We put it in here, yeah, remote event, and then the tools one doesn't work, maybe later. We start from here first. Local the script, we make the script is button equals to script dot parents, and then we make a fire event where we connect the what event equals to game dot replicate storage dot remote event. Right, am I right?
We also take
Server
the variable
local script on the server event.
of the player who pressed the button. However, just has been pressed the best, and we know that we want to message here servers and make it colored. So for example, endless red, player server, you have to start a geo. So let's put this whenever the back when is what to this blue, you can call it ever duplicated. Is it pings the remote event? We call it by this remote event. No, itself. So what we can and this will just script. First thing we get to check the changing the color from red.
So we make
Let's see
the
the color
local
change. Let's see the
active
orange because where you do remote event.
by the fire server. Play the remote event. This game was the replicate first and replicate storage the remote events fire. And then it should be in here, right? Let me just make another script in here. The server script. Right. Run the server script, and then in the server script, we make this again. Wait. So it will send the data to the server, and the server achieve it, which is what happened if we take this. I just click the button. Forgot, right? Huh? Player, right? We make the part. Wait. What is it called? A button. No, it's not a button. Wall. This is a wall. Oh, it's gone. Oh, it just went like that. It should be working. Ah. 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 It's not back. I think The stuff it should be in here, not there. How to make the function works though? How? Like when you click it again, it will be back. Oh, click! Oh, it's gone. When I click again, oh, it's not gone. Yeah, stop. A function could be called click, yes. Then we make arguments in here. It's just like a touch even in here. I'm trying to do the logic though. Wait. Okay. So let me try this out again. With my stupid ass face. How the things goes. I mean like, yo, you run the local script where it will it's activate the tools, the what it is called, the button, and when you activate it will send to server, and then when you send it to server, the server will say true, say okay, and the server will remove the wall. Okay, and then we back again. What if I want to make the click not just for a single did I need some touch even again in here? I mean like no, right? I mean like I think the problem was in here because you only touch it one. Wait. What? Go to click dot parents, I guess. What is click dot parents? Local. But click dot parents, and then you make an argument in here where you say that but and let's create right here. Oops. Oh my god, I'm so confused though. How? How? Wait a minute, okay? Let's try to do something real quick. Damn, I'm hate coding, bro. I hate coding so much, bro. Uh-huh. Touch those balls, stop. Let's see, Ho. This is haha. Haha. Ho. Oh, it's back to ho again and again. So that's a problem. It never backs to haha. So when the script is going to here, what is which else? Just get in here. Here. It's gonna end this. And right, should be like that. Assignment of function cell. Yeah. Let's go back again to here. What the fuck you mean by that? Should be like that. You know what? You know what? You know what? You know what? Let's just bake this again. And else. It will print who again and again. Why? Because when the touch equals to true, okay. It never. How? Never print the haha. Ho. If it shit, I'm confused as hell, bruh. I'm confused as hell. What if I just end it in here and we make another statement about if statement again, I guess? I don't know. If which equals to true, and then this, I guess. Yes. What's the problem, huh? Oh, huh? One click. Ah, it will print haha. Yo, I'm so confused, bro. Trace my logic though. I mean, like the Hoo one, it works, but how to make it like when we press? I mean, like the active is mean like. So after this, I want to make it back to here again and cross check again if we click it's all true. Print out coba. I want you to print what the touch do in here. Okay, it prints false. But uh, I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta change this to outside here. Transparency. Touch. What was? I mean, like, Neil. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Should be in here. Should be inside here. Okay. I mean, let's debugging. Let's debugging. First click true. Second click true. Third click true. It equals to false though. Is that true again? Why? I mean, like, shit, bruh. It will be true. But it's not changing to false again. Okay, you know what? I'm so confused though. The button. It's not. Not up here again. Okay. So the problem is I put it in the shell. Ah. Like what happened though? Like cannot put it in here? What's wrong? It's always false. If we really don't need that. Say false though, what the fuck? Fuck you, bruh. It's working. Holy shit, it's lagging or what? Oh. Want to make the wall appear when I click the button again, but it's not working. Come on, bruh. Okay. Active. I said active in here. Gimana? Gimana sih ini? Astaga. Fuck you. Aduh, ya Allah. Mana ini? Oke. No, 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 no. How? How? Gimana, Cok? Cok, bingung. Anjing. Anjing, bingung gua. I see a bug in here. Wall. Yes, it's wall. Touch equals to false. Blah 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 blah. If touch equals to false, transparency 1 can call it false. Touch equals to true. Else that's wait. Which print wall dot transparency. It's debugging again, people. Okay, it's 1. Astaga. 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 Oh my god. What's wrong with this? Bro, even AI cannot understand what the fuck is going on. Aduh. It's working, but I understood why. Oh god, bruh. Remote even script. Ah. I mean, no, that. What the fuck? Wait, let me see the wall though. Walls, transparency, trends. Oh! I think I see the problem. I see the fucking problem. I see the fucking problem. Fuck off, bruh. The anchor was on. It was off. It was. God damn it. I'm debugging all by myself, bro. Look at that. I see the fucking problem, bruh. The fucking anchor. Shit, man. Oh. Oh. It should be up here again. Yes. Yeah. Dude, the wall is below the map, bro. What the fuck? Okay. At least the script works though. That. Uh, yeah, this is the remote events. This is local, and the server cannot see what you do. You change this again to client and click again. Click. Okay. We open up my progress. Okay, wait a minute, guys. Okay, this just update our progress, I guess. Picture, screenshot, this of this. Out. Let me back to the X again and see if I could do anything.
Vegetable oil.
I just make some pause in here. I don't know if you start. I'm looking back on things I've done. I never wanna play the same old part. Our photo blur. Our photo blur and blur. Fuck this shit. Okay, let's continue, bruh. Let's go. Fuck. Let's continue until we make something that beautiful. But if you hear that shit, so loud around here. Yo, I really need to. I want us. Data system in Roblox. I'm very scripting so on modules kinda like, cause now I'm trying to learn the basic scripting, so I'm using models kinda likely right now. I'm kinda, what the fuck you mean by that? I mean, like, before I'm going to modules, I gonna need some I don't know. Damn, somebody use an animation. It's cool as fuck though. Look at that. The forums. Okay, maybe if I trying to learn the scripting again, my brain will be burnt out. So I'm trying to get into AI just a little bit. I search some AI and Roblox. Code with AI, blah 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 blah. Scripting. I mean, like, I'm trusting this type of people.
Oh boy. Link your Roblox Studio code base with a repository, aka a code base in a folder on your computer. Script Sync is the one by Roblox. It's built into Roblox Studio. It's a little more buggy sometimes than Rojo, but I prefer it because it's easier to set up. It's simpler. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to File and then go to Beta Features. Inside of here, you're going to see many different. I recommend you want to write and then create, and then use that thinking our script is download Visual Studio Code if you don't. app. Now, this is where I want to install the Codex plugin. If but it would be very minimal if they do have one. Go ahead and install the Claude Code extension. And then from there, you will be able to open these agents on the left. For a very bit, GPT 5.4 is the smartest. GPT 5.3 Codex Spark is the fastest, but that's only available on a certain plane. You can choose to reason it extra high, low, medium. That determines how long it thinks. Now, if you really want it to be accurate, you can use that, but if you want it to be fast, just use the lowest one or medium. As the code base gets more complex, it is often more important to have this be higher up. We're going to look at Codex. You don't have now $20 ChatGPT subscription because you get a lot more use out of it than you will from Claude. But it's worth it to have both because Claude is really good at one-shotting things, and it's also a lot more creative in a way. It's a lot more able to make things and have it actually look good and have a good feature set and have nice UI from the start. Codex is a little more technical and it isn't as creative unless you force it. Now, if you do have the money to spend, I would say get the $100 Claude plan. That one is the best option for middle of the road. Like you want the most use possible, but you want the smartest model possible. I would just pay for that. Don't go all the way for the ChatGPT Pro plan, $200 a month. Use the $20 a month one and then use the $100 a month Claude subscription. That is the most cost-effective approach that I've found. That's what I'm currently doing at the moment. And the Claude 20 a month subscription is not worth it if you're trying to use this decently heavily, which if you're a Roblox developer, so chat code bases folder, you have that. You can message Codex right here. You can tell it to make edit this spinner UI. Well, first you will be off to the races. Now this is a very simple prompt. It's not constraining it hard. It's not doing tons and tons of detail. So you might have to iterate on it more. That simply is a road to a lot. A prompt that simulator, so it works right.
Oh shit.
This is why a lot of people use Rojo still, because script sync is not perfect yet. What happens is script sync will suddenly stop syncing if scripts change sometimes, especially if you reopen the place. So you'll notice right here, I was telling Codex to fix it, the daily spinner that I made, not open when I joined the game. But as you can see, the code is in there, daily spinner flag, but it wasn't in there before. So if you ever see the little icon here that indicates that something is being synced by script sync, have a red dot next to it, that means that that service or folder has stopped syncing. Aside, let's test this out. So you can see it made a script that went ahead and made the UI. But this is being written in as code that then spawns this inside of the game while it's playing. This is not a UI that is editable by me manually outside of Studio inside of the starter GUI. But there's a way to get Codex or Claude Code to go ahead and edit Studio directly. As I hinted at earlier, that is MCP. And we're going to look at how to do that next. Looks like this is working well. Now, the only issue with it is the style doesn't exactly match the rest of the UI. So we'll go ahead and tell it to change that. So I'm just going to screenshot the UI for the icon. While that's working, we're going to look at MCP. So you can get MCP at GitHub at this link. It's going to be in the description. It's the MCP plugin. Go ahead and get the latest. Usually that in the command that goes for your agent. So if you're using Claude Code, you paste in this one. If you're using Codex, you use that one, etc. Paste that into directly just made into starter or else it won't work. And edit it, you can see it before the game's agents. And fix one bug, and then 6 more will pop up in its place. Just how it is right now. They're useful as hell, but they're not perfect. All right, now it opens. It successfully changed the design. It's not perfect, but it actually got it way closer to what we want, and I'm happy with it. We didn't have to be in debugging hell too long. Definitely not long enough to have to restart it altogether, but that's it. You now have it. This is how you use AI to make Roblox games. This is the new era we're in. If you want more systems with this, if you want to learn more about this,
Yeah. AI Rojo. Hey, sorry, crazy though.
And it's like, how would I ever animate this one? For the cannon, how do you stick the balls prior time to use markers in animation? I don't even remember. Maybe? I think the animation's so fast they just play it.
I never see him using AI, bro. Goblok banget.
Again, converse response here. Well, that's what I want to do. Yeah, I do plan on doing that. They will have some things like cooldown, like if they actually shoot.
Bro, you're not using AI, bro. Look at it.
It's 80 to 80, so maybe like maybe something like that.
This guy is smart as fuck.
And then finally, we can just call spawn enemy. Oh, which is good. Oh. We'll take the directions for pushing. That's fine, and then we just do. I could have sworn. These buttons, right? Let's say, but those will look nicer. That was just time. Here's that means that. Dude, I swear I coded this, by the way. You really need to drive. I mean, you can see the packages I use here. Sure. I would say, does
Oh, I'm trying to search some. I don't know. I'm kind of lost right now. What am I supposed to do?
developers, Roblox projects fall apart as they grow, not because of bad code, but because of bad structure.
This video breaks down how professional developers set up their games with organized folders, modular services, scalable UI, and essential. Professional developers set up their games with organized folders, modular services, scalable UI, and essential packages. This isn't just for big teams. This is the exact structure
Oh,
that I
shit.
use, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Advanced tooling like VS Code and Robo aren't required, but if you want to dive deeper into tooling, you should check out my previous tutorial video. Let's break down the structure behind a professional grade Roblox game. Game logic should be broken into services. Each service owns a slice of your game and manages related data and systems. For example, build service would handle placement of parts, while enemy service controls enemy spawning and tracking. Although not always required, each service is typically split into client and server versions with shared functionality or data placed in the utility module. This keeps your logic organized, makes debugging easier, and helps your game scale cleanly as it grows. So what does this actually look like in Studio? First, we're going to create a shared folder. This will house our shared and client game logic. Inside shared, create a services folder. Each service will have a dedicated folder assigned to it for easy scalability. In this example, I will create a build service. The client version of each service will live here, along with any needed shared utility scripts. We must place the server versions of each service under server script service in order to prevent exploiters from downloading sensitive server code. Our build services hierarchy setup is now complete. Here's an example with multiple services. Like I mentioned earlier, some services don't need client and server versions, as you can see with part service here. Ideally, all related code would live together for easy access and navigation. However, the server code must stay within non-replicated containers, as mentioned earlier. To remedy this, I created a VS Code tool that automatically maps scripts to the correct container while allowing everything to live together. This tool is available on my GitHub, link in the description.
Service code structure.
Service is a singleton. We only ever have one build service, one inventory service, and so on. That means no new constructor. The module itself is the instance. Most services have an initialize function in it. Here, any needed objects can be created or non-yielding startup code can be executed. In this example, we're inside build service client, so the singleton table is named exactly that. Always keep service names explicit to maintain readability. In it, creates a model called parts and stores it on the service. The service then exposes the build function. It spawns a part, sets its secret to the passing parameter, and parents it under self.parts. By default, the current UAL type checker struggles to understand the true type of self. In order to fix this, we need to ditch the colon operator and pass self in as the first parameter with our client type.
This is too much though.
Fine. With a loop,
I don't understand any shit. Let's just continue, okay? Let's just continue.
Pulsa Saraneo. Tenang, nyaman, apapun pulsa Saraneo.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. We're going to be adding more security to our Roblox space using a feature that further expands what we learned upon in the last episode about remote events. This one is going to be about remote functions, which have its own use cases that make it different from remote events. And in this episode, I'm going to be showing you what these are and how to use them. And this example that I have here uses remote functions. So I have a leader stat with 50 coins, and I have a prompt here that says, would you like to buy this button for 50 coins? If I click on it, then the server should have deducted 50 coins from my leader stats, and that message should have been sent back to the client to then update this GUI to say purchase has been successful. So this had a two-way communication system that was happening rather than one-way communication. And that is essentially the difference between the two. And that's what we're going to be discussing about inside of this episode. But before we start implementing, let me go back to our diagram that I've showed you in previous episodes. All right, let's think about this for a minute. So we're back on this diagram, that shows us the server and client model yet again. I think we've seen this before. That's located in the Roblox Developer Hub. Link is in the description for that. In the last episode, we covered remote events, which act as one-way communication between the server and the client. And like I mentioned, remote events act as one-way communication. And there's 3 ways of communicating with remote events. So the first one is from one client to the server. The other way is from the server to one of the clients. And then there was the server to all of the clients. But what if we wanted to do a communication that sends information to one party, and then with that, it will send results back to the call? What I mean is, what if we had this player communicate to the server, and then with that communication to the server then communicates back to the player with results to give us more information or to let us know that the call was successful. This is essentially what remote functions do that remote events can't do. The very important thing to know here is that what we're going to be talking about in this episode will act as 2-way communication rather than one-way communication. So hopefully you were able to understand this from my explanation. Now that we understand it, let's implement these remote functions. So I went ahead and created a leader-stat script inside service with our player added event, and we're given 50 coins whenever we join into the game. So, and then for the setup, what we're going to do is we're going to make a prompt purchase with the coins that we have when we load into the game. So in Starter GUI, we're going to create a screen GUI, and then inside of the screen GUI, we're going to create a text label, and we're going to rename this to prompt. And let's move this over here. Let's drag it a little bit. Let's center it. Let's go down here, text scale it, and then let's change the text to, would you like to buy this button? Next, what we'll do is we're going to add a text button to the screen GUI. So it's going to look like this. And then we're going to rename this to buy button. Let's move this down here. Let's scale it up just a little bit, center it, go down here, text scale it, and then change the text to buy button. And then in parentheses, we're going to say 50 coins to let the player know that this is going to cost 50 coins. Let's just scale this a little bit here so that it looks nicer, and then center it back. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll create a local script inside of our screen GUI. So let's just create a local script here, go back into our game. And now that we have our setup, let's create our remote function. And so because this requires server and client communication, we want to be able to access this remote function from the server and the client, much like remote events. And one of the best places that the server and client can access is replicated storage. So we're going to add this remote function inside of here in replicated store. Remember it, but now what we'll do, first make reference to our remote function. So we'll say local buy button. And just to make this easier, we're going to call this buy button remote so that we know that this is a remote function. Equals game.replicated storage dot buy button. And then what we'll do is make reference to our GUI, make reference to our prompt, and also make reference to our buy button. So first, we're going to make reference to the GUI, which is located in the script's parent. And then we will locate the prompt, which will be in the GUI itself. So GUI.prompt, and then finally, the buy button. So buy button equals GUI.buy button. And now what we'll do is we will make this button active when we press it so that we can send the message to the server using our remote function. So in here, let's create a mouse click event. So we'll say buy button dot mouse button one click colon connect function open parentheses close parentheses enter. So here's the really interesting thing about remote functions that makes them unique compared to remote events. So in order to fire the remote function, much like remote events, all we need to do is use the function provided to call whatever side of the game we want to fire to. So in this case, since we're in the client, we want to fire to the server. So you might say buy button colon fire server. But fire server is surprisingly not a function you can use for remote functions, because fire server is very specifically a function for remote events. So in this case, what we're going to say instead of fire server is we're actually going to replace fire with invoke. So this is the function we need to use in order to make a call to the server. And in terms of parameters, it's basically the same thing with invoke server, and in this case, the other one is invoke client, where we don't need to pass in a player if we're calling from the client to the server, but if we're going to pass in arguments, then we're going to need to do that for here. So it's basically structured the same way as a remote event. And the way we're going to catch this function call is by doing it from server. So let's copy this reference up here with Control-C, and then we're going to go to our leader stats script. Let's drop 2 lines down here, paste that, and then down here, the syntax here is going to be a little weird. Like with invoke server not being fire server, there's a special syntax for catching this invoke server call, and it's not on server event, but instead it's going to be on server invoke. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be by button remote dot on server invoke. Now you might be tempted to say :connect function open parentheses close parentheses. This is actually incorrect. This is not the right way to write the syntax for on server invoke, even though this pretty much is what it is like for on server event. So you might ask, why is it not like on server event? Why is the syntax incorrect here?
Fabio, kemanapun kamu pergi atau apapun yang kamu lakukan, Tuhan akan selalu menemani perjalanan.
It's important to understand the difference between a callback and an event. I will explain what the difference is once we finish writing our code. As of right now, what you need to know is that this is not the right way to write the on-server invoke syntax, because this is not an event, this is a callback. And the way you structure a callback is that it's been invoked. The parameters are basically the same. The way you structure a callback is that it's basically called a param. So you know how over here we have first parameter when we call does have it, and that implicit input equals player stats dot coins, and then we will check is value by 50. We've now provided one-way communication from the client to the server to then tell the server whether the player can buy this button, and if they can, then we will subtract the currency. So right now, this is functioning pretty much the same as a remote event. But now let's get to the interesting part that makes this stand out from remote events, and that is the two-way communication part. So I mentioned that we're able to invoke the server by calling invoke server and then telling the server to do what it needs to do here. But now let's actually send information back to the client to let us know that the purchase has been successful, so that we can let the client do something special when we know that the player was able to buy the button. So let's go over here and let's make a Boolean by dropping 2 lines at the very beginning. So we'll say local purchase successful equals false. And then let's drop a line down here after subtracting 50 coins by saying purchase successful equals true. So this basically lets us know that if just successful return keyword to return the purchase successful Boolean. So not only are we invoking the server to buy this button and make computations to be able to get rid of 50 coins from the coin's value, we're also passing back information to the client to let us know that the purchase has been successful. And the way we will get the information back is by declaring a Boolean and setting it equal to this function call right here. So behind our call, let's create a variable. We will call this one local purchase successful equals buy button remote invoke server. So what's going to happen is that this is going to be essentially a Boolean that is set to whatever this function call returns. So when we call invoke server to buy button remote, it's going to go to the server and it's going to first create a Boolean called purchase successful, and then it'll check whether the player can buy the button. If they can, then we're going to set purchase successful equal to true. and then we're going to return whatever the value of purchase successful is back to the client, which is going to be set here. So now this will tell the client whether we know that the purchase has been successful. And let's do that check down here by dropping 2 lines and saying if purchase successful, then, and when we just put in the Boolean variable here, this is implicitly saying if this is true or not. If this is true, then what we will do is we're going to change the prompt text label. So this text label right here, we're going to change the prompt's text to purchase successful so that we can really let the client know that the purchase has been successful. And let's even change the background color to 2 by saying prompt.background color 3 equals color 3 from RGB. Let's click this color wheel and let's pick light green. And so this will see if it adapts, we will say successfully made that button. And if they can't, all right, so I've loaded into the game. Would you like to buy this button? Successfully decremented 50 coins from us, whether the player can get the information back to the remote communication, because what we did was go from the client to the server and then back to the client. The second method we can do is from the server to the client and then back to the server. However, what I can say to that is I would actually advise not to do this method from communicating from the server to the client and then back to the server, because the server basically has access to all the information that the client already has. So there's no need for a server to communicate to the client to get information to be able to send it back to the server. There's just no need for that. What you could do instead is just use a remote event that communicates from the server and then to the client so that the server can tell the client what to do rather than having to fetch information from the client, because we don't need information from the client because the server already knows everything that a client knows. So the only use case I can say to remote functions is by communicating from the client to the server and then back to the client. That's the only use case I can see with remote functions, at least in my opinion from my time developing Roblox games. That's the only use I've seen with remote functions. Now you might ask, why does the syntax for on-server invoke look like this, where we need to create a new function and not have an end parentheses by the end here, rather than doing it like this with remote events, with the :connect function and end?
Fuck you!
It's important to understand the difference between events and callbacks. So events are basically a signal that gets fired when something happens when we call the function of the remote event to then catch that event using :connect. This is specifically for events when they have to catch the event calls. But in the way that a callback is different for on-server invoke is that a callback is basically a function that is passed as an argument to another function, and then it is called to execute code after a task is complete. Because the whole point of a two-way communication is that when we communicate from one side, which is the client, to the server, and we rely on information from the server to be sent back to the client, the code does not continue until we get the results from this callback to then continue executing whatever else it is we need to execute down here. But an event call can happen multiple times and execute without having to wait for results to happen. I hope that makes sense. Imagine if you had two parts here that have a touch event, where if a player constantly stepped on this part, then it'll keep on firing events to execute whatever it is that we need to execute here. But a callback relies on the information to be received back to whatever party called that function. In this case, we cannot have so many of these invoke calls at the same time as we do with events. I don't know if that made sense to you. I really hope you kind of get the feel of what I'm trying to say here. But that is essentially why the syntax difference matters between a callback versus an event. Other than that, everything else is still pretty much the same. It's just the little syntax difference that you need to be able to understand why it is the way it is. So for this last part of the video, I'm actually going to make this into a challenge. And I'm not going to lie to you, this challenge is actually going to be very fun. At least I think so anyways. Because essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create a tools shop system using everything we learned up until this point. And there's 3 requirements I have for you to do while you try doing this challenge on your own first, and then coming back to see what I do once we go through this challenge together. So the first requirement I have for you is to use a remote function, obviously, because that's the title of this episode. The next requirement is to make at least 3 buttons or tools for this shop system. You can either go to the toolbox to look at some tools for you to use inside of your game, or you can try creating your own tools for your shop, but either way works for you. The third requirement is I want you to use the clone function to take the bought tool and put it inside of the player's backpack after the player has bought.
Okay, this is the next challenge.
Whichever tool that they purchased in the shop. And if you don't remember how to do this, I highly encourage you to refer back to my tools episode where I went through a bunch of properties that will definitely help you with this challenge. So just putting that out there before you start this challenge. So with that being said, pause the video, try this challenge out first, and then come back and we'll go through this together. All right. So first thing we're
On with fire, place in their backpack. Okay, this is interesting enough. List of the item. Make a shop that you can interact and make a list of the item when you press it. And what? You can buy it if the coins enough. How you get the coins? To get the coins, you have to collect it. Okay. This is a clown action in here. And I hope I could do this! Yay! Maybe. Let's just finish this challenge, baby. You can all be because I'm a baby scooter. Yes. This is cool as fuck. Making a fucking game engine. Maybe we get married one day, but who knows? So yeah, I just need to build a system. Okay, the system is very simple. Maybe. So there is a Roblox character, right? He wants to buy an apple. There's a shop. There's a shop in here. The shop in here. There is a list in here and item banana and watermelon. Here. This tree, he needs to buy this, but he wants to buy that. So the only ways, but but the apple costs 10 coins, banana costs 50 coins, and the watermelon costs 70 coins maybe. So the only way he could buy that is by collecting the coins. Okay, by collecting the coins, yeah, he got the coins. Collecting the coins, he could buy this. Okay, so yeah, don't have money. So the things that you should make in here is, the first one is of course the leader stat, and then interaction with the shop, coins, and random coins collector, and then what? No, we just gotta start with this, and then if you got the coins, we could just interact with the shop, and then after interact you could buy item. Okay, the leader start one is so easy. You could just make a leader start, and then the coins also maybe so because I'm doing this before and I think I could do this again. And then the second one is to interact with the shop. This is the hard one because you need a remote event in here. Event and remote function, and the clone. Nah, this is the clone. The clone one is, I don't even know. Okay, the what do you say? The root of it, the root. Okay, it's a guy want to buy this. Guy want to buy item. To get the item, there is a way. Guy go to the shop, interact with the shop, interact with the shop. There is two options in here that could be purchase or close. Okay, if you choose close, you should back again to the start. If you choose purchase, there is two options in here. It could be done or not. It could be not done. The reason of it is because not have money. If you're not done, it will back again to the first one. If you're done, you got the item. Okay, this is the hierarchy of it. Start, as you can see. Can you see this? Please tell me you can see this. Yeah, you can see this, right? The hierarchy is so simple though, right? You start, you interact, and then there is the option in here where purchase or close the list. If you purchase it, okay, if you purchase the item, it could be done or not done, done or fail. Fail, you could say it fail, done or failed. And then if you failed, you could back again to the start, or done, you got the item, and the money you got is the minus the coins. Okay, the two-step interaction in here is in here. Two-step. The function in here was called a remote function. Okay, the remote functions will appears to interact the client to server, and then back again to client. Okay, and then the result, it depends on what coins on the player have. Okay. Now the shop thing is so easy to make the logic. It's so easy to make the logic, but the problem in here is when you put it in the code, it will be so hard. I know, but yeah, I will try my best. Maybe it's not today, but I see the hierarchy for tomorrow. I will make a system where you should you could buy an item in here and put it in the tool. Yeah, maybe I will try from apple, banana, and watermelon. Okay, people. Okay. Maybe I should try to use the script of coin first, and then weather starts. After that, we could continue to the shop, or maybe we could just add some OB in it, and if we reach, the money will comes to us, and you could buy any item that you want. Okay, that should be fun. But yeah, I'll try my best for this one first. Maybe tomorrow, yeah. I need to go to sleep. I mean, like, it's almost 12 a.m. in here. So I guess thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the brand new day, brand new guy that has a plan. Thank you guys for watching, and see you later. See you in the day 6. Bye.